Chapter 9, A Storybook Adventure. The day of the children's scavenger hunt dawned bright and clear, a perfect Saturday morning. Paige arrived at the library early, her stomach fluttering with a mixture of excitement and nerves. This event was a trial run of sorts, a smaller-scale version of the magical elements they planned to incorporate into the upcoming fundraiser. As she unlocked the library doors, Paige took a deep breath, steeling herself for whatever magical mayhem the day might bring. She had barely finished setting up the welcome table when Elliot burst through the doors, his arms laden with mysterious packages and his eyes twinkling with mischief. "Good morning, beautiful," he greeted her with a quick kiss. "Ready to make some magic?" Paige couldn't help but smile at his enthusiasm. "As ready as I'll ever be. Just remember, we agreed to keep things under control, right? No runaway story characters or talking furniture this time." Elliot nodded solemnly, though the sparkle in his eyes somewhat undermined his serious expression. Of course. Everything will be perfectly under control." As they worked together to set up the scavenger hunt stations around the library, Paige found herself marveling at how seamlessly their skills complemented each other. Her meticulous organization and knowledge of the library's layout provided the perfect framework for Elliot's creative magical touches. At the first station, Elliot enchanted a large storybook to act as the hunt's narrator. The book's pages fluttered of their own accord, and a warm, grandfatherly voice emerged from its depths, ready to guide the children through their adventure. "Is that Merlin?" Paige asked, recognizing the voice from an old animated movie. Elliot grinned sheepishly. "I may have borrowed a bit of inspiration. Don't worry, I got permission, sort of." Before Paige could inquire further about the legalities of magically appropriating cartoon voices, the first families began to arrive. Children of all ages streamed into the library, their eyes wide with wonder as they took in the transformed space. Paige cleared her throat, stepping forward to address the gathering crowd. "Welcome, everyone, to our Storybook Adventure Scavenger Hunt. Today, we'll be exploring the magical world of literature in a whole new way. Are you ready to begin?" A chorus of excited "yes" filled the air, and with a nod from Paige, Elliot activated the enchanted book. "Greetings, young adventurers," the book's voice boomed, causing a few of the younger children to jump in surprise. "Today, you will embark on a quest through the realms of story and imagination. Your first challenge awaits in the land of fairy tales. Seek out the glass slipper, but beware, not everything is as it seems." The children scattered, laughing and chattering as they raced towards the fairy tale section. Paige and Elliot exchanged a grin before hurrying after them to supervise and assist. In the fairy tale section, Elliot had outdone himself. Tiny, glowing fairies flitted between the bookshelves, sprinkling magical dust that made the book covers shimmer and move. A collection of glass slippers sat on a display, each one magically changing size and style as the children approached. "Remember," Elliot called out to the giggling group, "you're looking for Cinderella's slipper. It'll be the one that feels just right." As the children took turns trying on the magical shoes, Paige watched in amusement as one little boy slipped on a particularly sparkly pair, only to find himself suddenly sporting a frilly ball gown. "Oh my," Paige murmured, trying to stifle her laughter. Elliot winked at her. "What? Every prince should have the chance to feel pretty." The boy, far from being upset, twirled in delight, his friends clapping and asking for turns with the dress-up slipper. Once the correct slipper was found, it fit everyone perfectly and filled the wearer with an urge to dance. The enchanted book spoke again, directing the children to their next challenge in the mystery section. Here, Elliot had created a miniature crime scene, complete with tiny magnifying glasses that revealed hidden clues. The bookshelves themselves got in on the action, whispering hints and red herrings to the young detectives. "The butler did it," one shelf insisted, while another contradicted. No, it was the maid with the candlestick." Paige found herself getting caught up in the excitement, helping the children piece together the clues. She was so engrossed that she almost didn't notice when one of the mystery novels began to smoke ominously. Elliot, she hissed, pointing at the book. Oops, he muttered, quickly waving his hand to dispel the magical buildup. Got a bit too into the noir atmosphere there. As the morning wore on, each section of the library revealed new wonders. In the adventure area, a magical map led the children on a treasure hunt through literary landscapes. The science fiction shelves became a starship bridge, complete with bleeping consoles and a view of alien worlds through the windows. But it was in the fantasy section that Elliot's magic truly shone. As the children entered the area, they found themselves surrounded by a misty forest. Paige gasped in wonder as familiar characters stepped out from behind the trees, a fawn with an umbrella, a young boy with a lightning scar, a girl in a blue dress followed by a grinning cat. Elliot, Paige whispered, her eyes wide, this is incredible. How did you manage all this? He smiled, slipping an arm around her waist. Magic is all about imagination, Paige. And what has more imagination than children's literature? I just gave it a little push to become real. As they watched, the storybook characters began to interact with the children, offering riddles and challenges. Paige's heart swelled as she saw the pure joy on the faces of both the kids and their parents. You know, she said softly, when I became a librarian, this is what I always hoped to do, but bring stories to life for children. I just never imagined it could be so literal. Elliot squeezed her gently. That's why we make such a great team. You have the heart and the knowledge, I just provide a little magical flair. Their moment was interrupted by a sudden commotion near the spell books, which Paige had insisted on keeping behind a velvet rope. A group of older kids had managed to open one of the books, and now sparks were flying as they attempted to pronounce the incantations within. No, no, no. Elliot called out, rushing over. That's not how you, oh, watch out for that. Poof. A cloud of purple smoke engulfed the children. When it cleared, Paige saw with a mixture of horror and amusement that the kids had been transformed into various magical creatures. One boy sported a pair of donkey ears, while a girl was examining her new scaly dragon tail with delight. Elliot, Paige said, her voice strained, please tell me you can fix this before their parents see. Elliot was already waving his hands, muttering counter spells. Of course, of course. Just a minor hiccup. All part of the magical experience. By the time the smoke cleared again, the children were back to normal, though the girl with the dragon tail looked slightly disappointed. As the scavenger hunt drew to a close, Paige gathered everyone in the main reading area for a final surprise. Elliot had prepared a magical story time, where the book's illustrations would come to life as Paige read aloud. Settling into the reading chair, Paige opened the oversized book on her lap and began to read. Once upon a time, in a land not so different from our own. As she spoke, the air above the book shimmered, and 3D images began to form. A castle rose from mist, dragons soared overhead, and brave knights battled fearsome monsters. The children oohed and awed, completely captivated by the spectacle. Paige found herself getting lost in the story too, her voice rising and falling with the action. She felt a warmth in her chest as she realized that this magical melding of stories and reality, was everything she'd ever dreamed of as a librarian. As she reached the story's climax, she looked up to find Elliot watching her, a soft smile on his face. Their eyes met, and in that moment, Paige felt a connection that went beyond their shared love of magic and books. This was partnership, in every sense of the word. With the last words of the end, the magical images faded away, leaving behind a room full of wide-eyed, grinning children and equally impressed adults. That was amazing, one little girl exclaimed, bouncing in her seat. Can we do it again? Paige laughed, closing the book. I think that's enough magic for one day. But don't worry, there's always more adventure waiting for you in every book on these shelves. As the families began to file out, full of excited chatter about their favorite parts of the hunt, Paige and Elliot set about cleaning up the magical remnants of the day. Books flew back to their proper places, magical mist dissipated, and slowly, the library returned to its usual state, though Paige fancied she could still see a hint of sparkle in the air. Well, Elliot, Paige said, breaking the comfortable silence, I've been thinking about the upcoming fundraiser. What if we combine your magical art with some of the children's favorite stories? We could bring beloved characters to life throughout the library. Elliot's eyes lit up with excitement. That's a brilliant idea. We could have Alice in Wonderland characters hosting a tea party in one corner, and maybe Peter Pan flying around the ceiling. Paige nodded enthusiastically, her mind already racing with possibilities. And we could set up a magical treasure hunt, like we did today, but on a grander scale. Each book could hold a clue to the next. As they continued to brainstorm, their voices filled with laughter and shared excitement, neither of them noticed how late it had become. The library, usually so quiet and orderly, seemed to hum with the potential of their plans, as if the books themselves were eager to be part of the magical event to come.